Hey, I got a question for you. Are you an active B2B consultant? Are you an experienced professional who is looking to start into the consulting industry? Or are you a student wondering whether or not starting a career in consulting is worth it? If yes to any of those questions, you are a great fit to have a 15 minutes free coaching call with me. And during that call, we will be looking at your career and life goals, as well as your current and past experiences. And we will also be able to figure out whether or not we can together build a roadmap towards building your desired career with your desired lifestyle. So don't hesitate to get in touch with me at consultinglifestyle.fm/coaching. COACHING. Consultinglifestyle.fm/coaching. Now, let's go and listen to the episode. Hello and welcome to the Consulting Lifestyle Podcast to Sarry Ibrahim. Sarry, how are you?
Hey, Diogene, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I appreciate it.
Yes, and I believe that you will present and introduce the audience to another paradigm or another
Yeah.
perspective, mostly on personal and corporate finance, the concept of thinking like a bank. But before we do that, can you share the highlights of your career story?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. So I started my journey when I was halfway through my MBA program. I was doing my MBA with a concentration in project management, and that was the original intent to become a project manager. And I started my first job was at Allstate Insurance. I started working in sales and marketing, and I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed talking to people, kind of explaining how different insurance and financial strategies work. And then a kind of a light bulb went off in my head. It was like, if I can keep finding problems and solving problems for people and businesses, like I'll always be employed. And then it kind of led into the next chapter of my life, which is becoming self-employed. And that's exactly what I did. I became self-employed, started a company called Financial Asset Protection. So we're a full service financial services firm. We do financial planning, consulting, insurance planning in all 50 states in the US. And it's really like it kind of led to, as you mentioned, a paradigm shift because something I discovered working with business owners. Like, let's say, for example, you're an IT consultant, right? Like you've been working for a company for like 10, 15 years, and you want to branch off, start your own company. Not only do you need to obviously have the subject matter expertise, which is the IT and the project management and other aspects of that career, but also now a new subject matter, which is entrepreneurship and business, really. And that's something that's separate from usually from your subject, your original subject matter. Again, like if you are a doctor, right, like medicine, then starting your own practice, it's a different game, it's a different realm that you have to now understand. And that's why I've been helping business owners understand that, like kind of differentiating what they're doing from their business and then expanding onto their business. And then we could talk about those different parts of like this new world of financial parts of your business and thinking like a bank.
Yeah, yeah, no, I believe it's very interesting. And did you start pretty early your business after starting your jobs?
Yeah, absolutely. So I only worked in the corporate environment for like a year, and then I started my company, and it's been about 8 years now of being an entrepreneur. And yeah, it's something I did early on. I think it was good that I did it early on because I think that if I settled into careers and different jobs and then kind of climbed the corporate ladder, it would be more difficult to leave that and start my own company because I would be making more money as a W-2 employee, probably getting more benefits and more things like that. Not to say that it's bad to get those things, but I think that also early having entrepreneurship early on is really good too. Because I think that I've noticed it's like one mistake people make is they think that the more years they have in employment, the better there will be in entrepreneurship. And I see some logic to that. Like instead of going right into entrepreneurship work in a company for like 10 or 15 years and then branch off and start your own business, I see logic in that. And there is truth to that. But also I see some downsides to doing that. And some of those downsides are like you're going to be really comfortable getting a paycheck every 2 weeks. You're going to be really comfortable having like a project manager, a supervisor giving you a clear instruction of what needs to be done by what time, the ability to work in an office or work from home. Like you're going to have a lot of things that you're going to get comfortable with. And then when you go out and start your own company, like you have to pay for your own office, you have to pay for your home office, you have to come up with the ideas, you have to come up with the marketing, and then you have to wear different hats, right? Like, so you're a marketer, you're the accountant, you're the finance executive, you are like IT, you're all those things for your company. So it gets really challenging to do that when you've left like a clear structure and then coming into your own business.
That's very wise, what you say. And when you started, did you have people advising you, or did you had prior information that tell you, okay, you can be and do all that already right now?
Yeah, so most of it was just like a heart, right? Like just what I believed in myself. That was like 80% of it. And then 20% of it was like my MBA, some of the corporate experience I had, and a lot of like business coaching and life coaching. So I've worked with a lot of like life coaches and business coaches over the years. That's helped a lot, like a lot of mentors in my life. So I highly recommend that. Like that should be on the top of your list of things to do. Like really, like if you wanted to leave your company job and expand and become self-employed, there's a lot you have to kind of check off your list. But I would say the top are like the ability to believe in yourself. Like that's the best commodity or the best currency is like you believing in yourself. And then after that is having a mentor or like some sort of life coach or somebody to help you guide you through the thinking process of going through the different obstacles because you're gonna have a lot of obstacles and the obstacles might be foreseen or they might be like unpredictable, completely unpredictable. So you
Mhm.
need to be able to like react to that. Like I've read a lot of business books and like one of the primary things I've come across about like entrepreneurship, it's the ability to like handle stress and like endure like struggle, right? Like the ability to continue through that is really the probably the biggest quality of an entrepreneur. The business, the accounting, the finance, everything else, I think follows that, but really it's the ability to handle stress and kind of continue through going through things even when they're not working. So like
Mhm.
imagine even on a basic example, like you own a, for example, a store, like a small convenience store, for example, just to
Yeah.
make it simple. Um, if you don't have customers coming in that day, it doesn't mean that you don't have to go to work anymore. Like you still have to put in the effort, even when the effort isn't coming back, the results aren't coming back to you. And that's very challenging for a lot of people because like in your if you wouldn't go to work if they weren't paying you, like
Yeah.
you wouldn't do a project at work if you're not going to get paid on it. You wouldn't go to college unless you're going to get a degree. So there's always this if then transactional things going on in our lives that we're comfortable with, that we're used like I'll do this if it's going to happen this way. In entrepreneurship, you'll do something, it might not work and you still have to keep doing it over and
Yeah.
over again. Even if it doesn't work right then, you have to keep going, you have to keep showing up. So it's very challenging for people to grasp that and to continue doing so, you know?
Yeah, yeah, you're totally right. It's really the difference between really being an employee with the direct gratification, let's say,
Yeah.
and being an entrepreneur. And there is something that you said that is that is interesting is the fact that you really believed a lot in yourself.
Yeah.
You built that self belief, and you read books, but and you had also you said you also had coaches
Yeah.
and mentors. So you knew that you needed those at a very young age while you were a student, basically.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it
Mhm.
was really like I don't know if it was a coincidence or like I don't know how to explain it really, but it was kind of like I looked at it as like, all right, you know what? Like there's a lot that needs to be done here, and I can't do all of this on my own. I need outside expertise, I need outside help to do this. And I had to also do it in a very strategic way. Like it wasn't like I had like a access to like $20 million that I could just play with, you know what I mean? So like I had to be very strategic, like I had to be able to pay for those things while also growing a business, and it's really challenging, you know, to do so on a limited budget. But yeah,
Yep.
I think that it was the core things, like the simple basic things, like the knowledge to certain things. Like I obviously watch a lot of podcasts, a lot of YouTube videos for like many years, like over 10
Mhm.
years, and read a lot of books. Like I always have a book on my list of books to read. Lately I've been making it a goal to read like at least one book a month just to make it more the goal reachable. But I'm always like reading some book, and sometimes I'll read like two or three books at the same time, like 10 pages of each book at a day. So like I don't know what it was, but something told me like you have to read, you have to learn, like watch videos and work on your self-education, and then you have to get like a mentor or a coach. So
Yeah.
those kind of things, those putting all those together, I think really amplified a lot of business success. And I don't want to say made it easier because it's still challenging either way. It's not like if you just do this route, it's much faster. It's still challenging, but you have more, I guess, more certainty, especially like,
Mhm.
for example, like if you're working with a coach who was in your shoes before, it gives you more confidence and it conveys more social proof to you. Like social proof
Yes.
is if somebody else did it and there's actually evidence of them doing that, then you are more likely to reach those things because somebody else did it. So there's social proof behind it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's very interesting. Maybe we'll come back on the book that you read later
Yeah, yeah.
in the episode. But when you started your company, it was pretty much, I assume, an extension of what you were doing as an employee. And I would like to know, how did you come with the idea or discover the concept of thinking like a bank and what it is?
Oh yeah, good question. Yeah. So when I was at Allstate, it was very limited in the sense of like the types of products we were offering clients. It was like only certain types of insurance and only certain types of financial strategies. So I thought like if I go independent and I start my own company, then I could essentially provide any type of insurance and any type of financial strategy or any service or product for that matter. I could put, kind of expand. I could also expand and go completely online. So this is like way before COVID. I wanted to launch like a national online business like way before COVID. So I had some small bits and pieces, and I was like, maybe if I just did no, if I had no territory restrictions and no product or service restrictions, and I own my own company, then it'll open up more doors. This way, if like let's just say I wanted to do 10 things, and if if five of those things didn't work, then I've diversified enough so that way like the other five may work, or just kind of giving myself like more options and more things to do. And I'm sorry, what was the second part to it? The question?
Yeah, so how did you come to think
Oh,
like a
thinking like a
bank?
bank.
Because
Okay,
yeah.
good question. So as I was adding on more products and services, one of the avenues we added on was the use of uh, it's a little bit tricky to kind of think about, but it's there's different like life insurance products and financial products. And one of those life insurance products was cash value whole life insurance. And it was based off of a book that I read called Becoming Your Own Banker by Nelson Nash. And in the book, the author talks about using this life insurance strategy to build cash on a tax-free basis and on a way to grow the wealth, regardless of how the stock market does. And then that kind of led into finding the book, The Bank on Yourself Revolution. And then that kind of led to, I wanted to talk more about that on our podcast, like how you could apply strategy. That's just one of the strategies of thinking like a bank. But really, like, how do we come up with the name thinking like a bank? It was like, all right, so we're going to do things like a bank. We're going to help clients become their own bankers. We're going to grow money regardless of market conditions. We're going to save taxes, do all these different avenues. And then I thought like, well, we're thinking like a bank in this situation. So then I trademarked the name Thinking Like a Bank, and then started the podcast Thinking Like a Bank. And then we have the website thinkinglikeabank.com. So it came about from the expansion of like different products and services. And not just that, but also like the concept behind it, like the why behind doing those things. Because like if you, for example, let's say that, for example, you wanted to um let's just say post a frame or something in your wall, right? Like, and you go to the store and you buy a drill. Like, your goal that day isn't to buy a drill. Your goal that day is to post the picture, right? Or like to hang up the frame. So I think the same thing is true with business and products and financial services. Like, the goal isn't to buy a life insurance policy. The goal isn't to hire an accountant and lawyer taxes. The goal is, beyond that. It's financial freedom. It's saving overall taxes. It's reinvesting so that way you don't have to keep working. So that really like was where like the light bulb went off. Whereas like
Yeah.
it's not just the title of what you're doing. That's not the goal, but it's like what's the ultimate thing that you want to accomplish.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's great. And when you talk about how you started your business, it seems that you were adding
Mhm.
products and services. Were you completely alone, like a sole proprietor and the only employee, or you started to build a team to offer all those products and services?
Yeah, so I was a sole proprietor, and as I was adding on different products and service, it was like so in the insurance and the financial services world, like you could reach out, like for example, it depends on the situation you're in, but like let's just say there's like 1,000 companies out there, right? Like you can reach out to each one individually and like propose to them like I want to sell your product or your seller service, and then they'll contract with you. So I was doing that, and I was also doing that through different marketing organizations. So it'd be like a group of like 300 advisors, and those group of 300 advisors have like 500 companies behind them. and I would work with like it's different like marketing organizations and brokers. So, but I was still a sole proprietor, and I had just kind of like different contracts with different companies and financial services companies. So that's how, and then through that, there was networking events, and there still are networking events and mentors and training and things like that. So to answer your question, it is technically sole proprietor with more like networking
Yeah,
connections
yeah.
to companies.
Yeah, and maybe something that is also a great takeaway for the audience is your ability to create relationship and build business partnerships with
Mhm.
various organizations to reach your goal.
Yeah.
So that's good. Do you have any kind of, I won't say example or success story of a professional or a company that used, on which you implemented that's thinking like a bank strategy and mindset, and that is starting to see some results for their lives?
Yeah, I do. I had a client who originally we connected originally just to talk about, I believe it was just to talk about like life insurance. That was the original conversation. It was like a simple insurance conversation. And as we went through like the steps, the process, right? So we have the financial analysis meeting, and in the financial analysis meeting, that's like one of the first steps we have with clients. We go through all of their financial situation. We go through like what's going on in their world, right? Like how much are they making? What are their goals? Like their 10-year goals, 20-year goals, and what kind of retirement plans do they already have? What are they currently doing? And it's a very like a long process, right? It's a very important process too, because it helps us identify like what we should recommend that's suitable and also in the best interest of the client. And as we were doing that, we discovered that he owns a couple companies, and these few companies that he has like a long, I guess, a longer time frame of paying his expenses. So it's not like his expenses were due every day. They were due sometimes like 6 months to a year later after receiving the income. So this kind of like led us to like, all right, what if we could potentially like restructure the reserves for his company so that way he can earn like a higher interest rate on the money in the meantime between the amount of time he's receiving that money, and then having to pay those expenses. So this is where like thinking like a bank comes in, right? Is that like we can potentially make money on that money even before he has to
He has to
pay the
pay.
expenses. So we started structuring these different types of reserve accounts for him so that way he would earn a higher interest rate on them. And then also a way to earn that interest without having to pay taxes every year on it. And then also there was some asset protection behind that. Like doing so would prevent like it would not prevent, but it would like if you were to be sued or something like that. There's asset protection involved in that. And I'm not an attorney, so I don't want to keep going into the topic of asset protection, but we do some of those services alongside attorneys within our firm. And yeah, so this is what thinking like a bank is. It's not just your business only, but how you can kind of tap into other businesses. And if you really look at like what a bank is really just like a bridge, right? For people, like you want to get a mortgage, you go through a bank. You want to get a car note, you go through a bank. You want to store
Mhm.
money, you go through a bank. You want to start a retirement account and go through a bank. So it's like a bank is really just like the center of a lot of other things going on in a lot of money things going on in people's lives. So a lot of businesses can apply these same kind of tactics, right? Where it's like you have your company, let's just say it's you're a dentist or whatever, something completely irrelevant from money or from financial services. But really you start to add on different avenues in your business where like you turn it into a different way, a different money making machine that you didn't really see before that like was possible. You just saw like in your mind was just that product or service that you're currently
Yeah.
engaged in and involved in. And you even see this in the consulting world, right? Like this is one reason why companies hire outside consultants is because the outside consultants are going to come in with a different image, a different picture. They're going to come in from
Yeah.
the outside and they can give more feedback that the people internally have probably been like blinded to because they're used to doing those habits over and over again.
Yes, yes, yeah, it's the same principle as well in consulting, and I
Yeah.
think that's very good. I mean, the type of example that you provide, it can show also the added value for professionals to call upon professionals like you who can find wealth building strategies,
Yep.
or at least help people reach their financial freedom goals earlier than what they think. And you started, you think you said that you started about 8 years ago, something like that, your business.
Yeah.
There has been a pandemic in between,
Hmm.
and how have you seen the market evolve? When I say the market, I mean the how aware and how sensitive people and companies are with regards to financial asset protection, with regards to optimizing their finance to get financial freedom.
Yeah, so after COVID, like or during COVID and after COVID, I really noticed a lot of people became heavily influenced. I don't know if it's bias, like if I'm just noticing this on my end, but I've noticed that people became heavily involved in like financial planning and buying stocks and wanting to make money from home. Like that became like everybody wanted to do that. And I get it because a couple of things. So like number one, like a lot of people were laid off, and then a lot of people were working from home anyway, and a lot of people had a lot of time on their hands. So that would probably be the best time to learn about to keep yourself occupied and learn about different wealth building strategies. But that's something I learned a lot is like I seen that a lot of people want to, and even till now want to become like financially successful just from like working at home. And this obviously led to like a lot of people like they call it like the great resignation, right? Where
Mhm.
people are leaving their companies. And I think it depends. Like certain industries are not like that. Like certain industries, I think like in IT and consulting and the software world, it's like people are still looking for those types of jobs because they are rewarding jobs. But like in restaurants and other places, like people are having a really hard time hiring because people have figured out ways to work from home and to make money from home and to start businesses online.
Mhm.
So that's a huge trend. And I think that even before COVID, people were already on that trend. Like I remember like it was 2014, 2015, I started getting involved in a lot of like understanding how to buy stocks online. And back then it was still kind of like it was still kind of new. Like there were some websites, but like nowadays it's you don't even have to think about it. Like you could just open up your app on your phone and buy all types of financial assets and hire a financial advisor. And even you can even buy real estate online through an app. Like you can buy portions of real estate deals, and even like all types of investment strategies you can buy into with just like an app nowadays. So that's open. That's we've come a long way since then.
Yeah, yeah, was that also translated into more demand for your services, or is like there are just more people trying to do it by themselves?
Yeah, good question. Good question. So let me think for about that for a second. So
Mhm.
yes, absolutely more people want to do it themselves, but there's also so much you could do on your own that it's overwhelming and you need expertise to do these kind of strategies. And I think that that's where it goes into, as I was mentioning earlier, about like how I had life coaches and business coaches and mentors. You know, it helps a lot when you have somebody guiding you through the process, especially somebody who's done what you're doing many times over and over again. It's like, I mean, imagine like you had some sort of legal problem and then you went to go represent yourself. Like you just did some research on your own and tried to represent yourself in that legal situation. It probably wouldn't be the same outcome as hiring an attorney. You know, like, yeah, it's going to cost
Yeah,
you money to hire the attorney, but the outcome could be more favorable to you. And the same is true when like financial planning and financial consulting. You could technically just do everything on your own. Like go to YouTube, watch videos, listen to these podcasts, download free ebooks, open up free accounts with Robinhood and E-Trade and all these other online accounts, and then just start trading and doing things on your own. Or you could work with a professional that's going to cost you a little bit more money, and then your outcomes will probably, statistically speaking, probably be a lot better with a professional than you doing
yeah,
it on
yeah.
your own.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe this is my biased hat of being a consultant, but
Yeah.
yes, you always get further. Fine, you are more likely, sorry, to get
Yeah.
further with an expert that has seen it for some time, or at least has seen it
Yeah.
on several cases, and can really assess. Okay, maybe this is the best strategy
Yeah.
we can use, we can try. No, that's very important. And how do you see uh, given that, so you have your own company, but how do you see the evolution of your business, uh, I want to say in the next 5, 10 years, but just in the future in general, how do you see your business?
Yeah. Yeah. So Like my specific business or the type of business I'm in?
I was talking about specifically your business, but then we
Uh-huh.
can also talk about the industry,
Okay.
how where the industry goes. Yeah.
Okay, good question. Yeah. So specifically my business in the next 5 years, I definitely see it growing. I see it growing more so online. I'm also trying to incorporate like international strategies. Like right now, we're pretty limited to just like the 50 US states. But I want to expand it into like international solutions. So this way, like somebody like in Europe or somebody in the Middle East or in Africa wants to, or anywhere in the world for that matter, wants to do some sort of financial strategy with like a US based product or solution. I want to figure out a way to like expand into that, do everything like virtually, of course, and be able to offer those internationally. I don't know exactly, I don't know what I'll have to face. Like, I don't know what the obstacles will come doing running an international business, but that's something I'd like to see. And then in my industry, I definitely see the rise of like online advisors, they robo advisors, but that's a little bit different. Robo advisors, that's where like the technology is doing all the advising for you.
Mm.
But I do see a rise in like overall virtual business, right? If you notice, I don't know, in Montreal if you have a lot of these, but like in the Chicagoland area or anywhere, like really in the US, all over the US, we have a lot of like retail shops of like investment advisors. Like you can drive to an investment advisor and meet face to face. I think those are going to be obviously decreasing every year and going more so online and
Mhm.
helping people online. And I think that more people are going to be comfortable sharing and talking to people online versus having to go to, like, I couldn't see myself right now like going face to face and meeting with like an accountant or insurance agent or a mortgage broker. I've done all those things virtually over the last couple of years, and I think that the trend is going to keep increasing over the years.
Yeah, true. And maybe it leads me to ask another question on the trends is maybe with all the fintech and the artificial
Yeah.
intelligence into where maybe we will rely on tools to say, okay, what should be your next financial move? You see that growing as well?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Your next financial, I think people are way more, like even people like I have a lot of clients like they make like for example like $20,000 a year. Like they work like part-time making like $20,000 a year and they're engaged in their financial plan. Like they want to talk about taxes and they want to talk about wealth building and they want to talk about, and usually you don't see that, right? Like usually
Mhm.
you would see people like even bring up the word financial advisor when they're already like wealthy. Like they're already, then it's like, all right, now I'm wealthy. Now I want to get a financial advisor. And I think that
Mhm.
that approach is a little bit backwards. That's like saying like, okay, now I'm in good physical shape. Now it's time for me to go to the gym. When in
Mhm.
reality, you're going to the gym to get into good financial shape, and a good health, physical shape.
Physical
Sorry.
shape, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So then if you want to get into better financial shape, like work with a professional, like it'll speed up that process, it'll make it more efficient. You don't have to get to a financial, like I talk to sometimes like people who are not my clients. Yeah, like they'll tell me like when I make more money, then I'll reach out to you and talk to you. And I think again that's backwards. Like my job is to help you make more money and get to and discover more money and build more wealth, not only talk to you once you're at that stage. Like so
Yeah.
that's something I see like a lot more people doing nowadays.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I used to think exactly like that. Like, no, I should make more money before I meet a financial advisor,
Yeah.
because you feel like it's like talking about something I don't have.
Yeah, yeah.
It's pointless. That's how the mind thinks.
Yeah,
Oh, that's great. That's very interesting. And let's to come back a little bit to the type of things we were saying at the start of the episode. So the fact that you read a lot of books, that you had coaches.
yeah.
I'd like to know if in the financial world, do you have any, how can I say, people that are pretty famous maybe in the financial world that you are especially following? Any CEO or any writer?
Yeah,
That you,
yeah. So I read the book Principles by Ray Dalio, and Ray
yeah.
Dalio, yeah, that book and that guy too, also like really influential. So I follow a lot of Ray Dalio's work and his posts and things like that. I like a lot of his strategies, and yeah, I think that his book really like opened up my eyes for my practice. He talks a lot about incorporating like technology and creating a process and steps for everything. So that's something too, like it's changed my opinion on things. Like for example, even now, like if I have to, like for example, like meeting you and getting on your podcast, like that was a process we did. Like we have steps for that. Like step one, reach out to you. Step two, like make sure it's a good fit. Step three, book the podcast. And then step four, we would like go back and get the. So like we created steps for everything, and it was a lot due to mainly Ray Dalio's book.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a great book. I have also read it. I think 3 years ago. You like Principles.
Yeah.
I really advise it to anyone. Um, Also, we were talking about books more in a general. So you said that you read like a book, a book a month.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
At
is
least a book a month.
at least yeah, at least a book a month. So do you have any? I don't know if you had like three books that have that you particularly like
Yeah.
to mention.
Yeah, so the book Deep Work I like a lot. It talks about
Mhm,
how to like work, how to be more productive, like mentally be more productive,
mhm,
and how to like how to do more things mentally, which is a big struggle for a lot of people, especially like when you're like IT consultant or a programmer, when like you're using 100% of your brain for work. So yeah, this is the book right here. It's a good book. I like it a lot.
yeah, deep work.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I'm also reading Who Not How, which is a book about like if you want to hire more people and actually to take it to walk back from that. So Who Not How is a concept, right? Where it's by Dan Sullivan, where it's like instead of you thinking about how I'm going to do something, think of who can help you do that thing that you want to do. So it's replacing the how with who, and it changes everything. Changing the question changes it changes everything, right? So that's another book. And then of course Traction, which is about hiring people and like creating steps for like measuring productivity and efficiency. So those are some books I can just think of at the top of my head, like books that help entrepreneurs grow.
Yeah, yeah. No, these are great. These are great suggestions and great books that you have that you have mentioned. We didn't talk about it, and it is. I think it doesn't appear anywhere in your website. It's a crypto world,
Yeah.
or or are you involved with that in any way, or do you talk about that as a as part of your financial strategy with your client?
Yeah, so crypto, I just own some Bitcoin. That's it. That's the furthest
Mhm,
I've gone with it. Other than that, I don't really talk about it. I don't know
mhm,
much about it. So like, don't
mhm,
take my advice on it because I'm not going to help you that much. So yeah. And then as far as like my opinions on it, I don't really know what the outcome of it is. I just bought because it seemed like the price was going to go up. Like it went, obviously it's been kind of like down the last year or so, but I think it's going to go up. I don't know. I bought some recently thinking it was going to go up. But yeah, that's kind of I mean, I don't really know what to expect from cryptocurrency or from specifically from Bitcoin. I don't know if it's going to actually become a currency that we're going to use or more of just an investment vehicle that people can just buy and sell and trade, and while we're using like our dollars and other fiat currency. I don't know what to expect. I know people who are really into cryptocurrency think of it as like it's going to change the world. It's going to be, one Bitcoin is going to be $1 million. It's going to be currency. I don't know exactly. I don't know what to expect.
yeah, that's good. That's good, and that's the kind of let's say honest and humble answer, like saying,
Yeah.
okay, you know what, I don't know, I'm not into it, but yeah, I did not really see that on your website, so I expected I did, but I assume that people in the past 3-4 years they come to, yeah, what about crypto? So
Yeah.
so good. I believe that it was really a great conversation, a great interview. The last thing I would like to ask you, Sari, is when we talk about consulting
Yeah.
lifestyle, what does that say to your mind? What does that mean to you?
Consulting lifestyle. Yeah. So it means, I mean, I don't know if we're talking about the same thing, but it means like in my mind, like,
Mhm,
so number one, you're kind of independent, like you're on your own. And then number two, you have a kind of an agile approach. So you're not just one type of consultant. Like you could really apply some of the strategies and other principles from other places and other industries into newer industries. Like if you're really good at uh helping lawyers expand their business, and you'll probably be really good at helping doctors expand their business. Like you can apply some of those same strategies and principles into other areas. So you have like an agile way. It's more of like the process you're doing, not the actual subject matter. And
mhm,
then like location freedom, right? Like you're able to work like virtually anywhere in the world as long as you have like access to like Zoom and a phone and computer. You could and internet, you can pretty much work anywhere you want. So like there's a lot of freedom. Yeah, that's good. That's when I think of a consulting lifestyle, that's what I'm thinking of.
Okay, excellent, excellent, Sarry. So, if people want to get in touch with you, where can they find you?
Yeah, easiest place. They can go to, I have a couple websites, but the easiest website is thinkinglikeabank.com. So it's thinkinglikeabank.com.
Okay, perfect. We will put that in the show notes. And Sarry, it was really good to have you on the show. Thank you for sharing all that knowledge to our audience.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Consulting Lifestyle Podcast. If you have enjoyed the episode, leave a review on iTunes or one of your preferred podcasting platform. And if you want to further our relationship, please join our community. Our community is available at consultinglifestyle.fm/community. Looking forward to keep in touch with you.